Someone told you your spouse was already replaced. Would you believe them?
What would you do if a security guard laughed in your face and told you your husband's wife was already inside? Not a joke, not a misunderstanding, not a typo on a visitor badge. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Already inside. That's exactly what happened to me. My name is Maya Bennett. I'd been married to Adrian Bennett, tech golden boy, media darling, CEO of Bennett Dynamics for 8 years. 8 solid, respectable, camera-ready years. The kind of marriage that looks polished from the outside. The kind investors love. That morning, I wasn't suspicious. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't trying to catch anyone. I was holding sunflowers in one hand and a white pastry box in the other. Adrian had a massive investor presentation scheduled, months in the making. He'd barely slept all week. I thought a surprise visit might make him smile. Funny how perspective works. I don't usually go to his office. Adrian always said mixing marriage and business complicates optics. His phrase, optics. I believed it meant professionalism. Now I wonder what it really meant. The lobby of Bennett Dynamics is all glass and marble. Cold, impressive, controlled. There's a tall black sign near the elevators. Authorized personnel only. I walked confidently to the security desk. The guard's name tag read Luis Ramirez, mid-40s, calm eyes, observant. I smiled and said, "I'm the CEO's wife." Simple, factual, normal. He didn't reach for a badge. He didn't ask for ID. He looked at me for a long second, and then he laughed. Not nervous laughter, not confused laughter. The kind of laugh you give when someone tells a joke you've already heard. He leaned slightly to the side and pointed behind me.
"Ma'am, his wife is already here."
Already here? My stomach dropped so fast it felt like missing a step in the dark. There's a strange moment when your brain refuses to process a sentence. It just stalls, like it's buffering reality. I turned slowly. The glass entrance doors slid open, and that's when I saw her. Cream-tailored suit, perfect posture, walking like she belonged there. And the worst part? She looked directly at me, not surprised, not confused, like she'd been waiting. But what happened in the next 60 seconds would expose a version of my marriage I didn't even know existed, and it was only the beginning.
Wait, the guy didn't hesitate. He laughed, and that woman looked prepared, not confused. So how long has this been staged? Have you been nursing cheating or something more?
Have you ever locked eyes with someone and instantly felt replaced before a single word was spoken? That's what it felt like. She didn't hesitate when she saw me. No flicker of confusion, no awkward pause, just a smooth, controlled smile, the kind you practice for cameras. Vanessa Clark. I knew her name before she even said it. Executive assistant to Adrian Bennett. I'd seen her once before at a charity gala 2 years ago. She had stood half a step behind him all night, close enough to whisper, close enough to laugh at jokes I couldn't hear. At the time, I dismissed it. Assistants hover, that's their job. Now she was walking toward me like she owned the building. She extended her hand first.
"Oh,
She said softly, almost sympathetically.
this must be awkward."
Awkward? Luis, the guard, cleared his throat.
"Mrs. Bennett already went upstairs for the presentation."
Mrs. Bennett. I felt something cold slide down my spine. "I am Mrs. Bennett," I said evenly. Vanessa tilted her head slightly, studying me, measuring.
"Well,
She replied, lowering her voice just enough.
that depends on where you're standing."
What does that even mean? Tell me, if someone said that to you, would you walk away? Would you demand answers? Or would you do what I did next? I stepped toward the elevator, because I needed to see this for myself. Vanessa followed. Of course she did. The elevator doors closed with a soft, metallic whisper, sealing us into a mirrored box of tension. I could see our reflections side by side. She looked polished, corporate, camera-ready. I looked like a wife who thought she was surprising her husband with pastries. Then I noticed the digital screen above the buttons. Investor Summit, Adrian Bennett and wife. Not Maya Bennett. Not even a first name, just wife. Generic, replaceable. My pulse pounded in my ears as the elevator climbed, and when the doors slid open, applause thundered through the executive floor. And there he was, Adrian, standing center stage, with his arm wrapped around Vanessa. But what he said next into that microphone would hit harder than anything I'd seen so far, and there was no turning back now.
Wait, the guy didn't hesitate. He laughed, and that woman looked prepared, not confused. So how long has this been staged? Have you been nursing cheating or something more deeper?
Some betrayals happen behind closed doors. Others come with stage lighting and a microphone. The applause was loud, polished, rehearsed. Investors in tailored suits filled the conference hall, champagne glasses catching the light from the massive windows behind the stage. And there stood Adrian Bennett, my husband. Perfect posture, confident smile. The version of him the media loved. His arm rested comfortably around Vanessa's waist. Comfortably.
As we enter our strongest fiscal year yet,
He announced smoothly.
I want to thank someone who's been my foundation through it all. My incredible wife.
The room erupted again. For her, not me. Vanessa gave a graceful nod, modest, controlled, like she'd practiced that exact movement in a mirror. I scanned the walls. Framed photos lined the perimeter of the room. Corporate retreats, holiday galas, charity auctions. And in every single one, Vanessa, standing beside Adrian, smiling at cameras, wearing the kind of expression I used to wear. How long had this been happening? Weeks? Months? Years? The slide behind them shifted. Family-driven leadership. Executive stability. Legacy partnership. Legacy partnership? Was I erased or rewritten? Here's the question no one prepares you for. What hurts more, infidelity or invisibility? Adrian's eyes finally found mine near the back of the room. For half a second, his expression cracked. Just half. Then it reset. Controlled. Strategic. He chuckled lightly into the microphone.
Well, it looks like we have an unexpected guest.
A few heads turned toward me. No recognition, just mild curiosity. He stepped down from the stage and approached me, smile still glued in place. When he reached me, his voice dropped low.
Not now, Maya. This is business.
Business. 8 years of marriage reduced to branding strategy. Vanessa joined him, standing just slightly in front of him now, not hiding, not apologizing, positioned like she belonged there. I felt something shift inside me, not panic, not tears, clarity. I glanced at the pastry box still in my hand, and suddenly I realized something Adrian didn't. I hadn't come unprepared. I stepped toward the stage stairs, and I said, clearly enough for the front row to hear, "You're right, Adrian. Let's talk business." What happened next would not just interrupt his presentation, it would dismantle it.
Can you believe this? He just called it business, not personal. And those photos suggest this has been going on for a while. So is Maya walking up there emotional or prepared? If she's calm, something's definitely coming.
The most dangerous person in a room full of liars is the one holding proof. As I stepped onto that stage, the applause faded into confused murmurs, heels against polished wood, every sound suddenly amplified. Adrian's smile tightened.
Maya.
He warned under his breath. Vanessa didn't move. She didn't step back. But for the first time since I'd walked in, she wasn't smiling. Interesting. I set the white pastry box on the podium. Tell me something. If this were just an affair, wouldn't there be guilt? Panic? Something messy and emotional? This wasn't messy. It was organized. I opened the box. Not pastries, paper, neatly stacked documents. A few investors leaned forward. "I won't take much of your time," I said into the microphone, calm, measured. Since transparency is such a key theme today, Adrian reached for my arm. I gently pulled away. First page held up. Expense reports, line items highlighted in yellow. Wardrobe budget, V. Clark. Travel accommodations, spousal suite upgrade. Event branding, Mrs. Bennett representation. Spousal representation. Paid for by the company. A ripple moved through the audience. Vanessa's jaw tightened. I continued. Maybe the board would also like to see the internal memo instructing staff to refer to Ms. Clark as Mrs. Bennett for image consistency. Gasps now. Actual gasps. Adrian stepped toward the microphone.
This is being taken out of context.
Out of context? I connected my phone to the projector cable already waiting at the podium. Emails filled the screen. His name, her name, legal restructuring discussions. One sentence froze the room. Once investor confidence stabilizes, we'll formalize the transition. Transition. Everything shifted. That word hit harder than any accusation. Was I being transitioned out of my own marriage? I turned to Adrian. "You said this wasn't personal," I said quietly, but the mic carried it everywhere. "So let's keep it professional." I pulled a final document from the stack. Divorce papers, signed, filed that morning. The silence was suffocating. Security began moving, and for a brief second, I wondered which direction they were heading. Then a board member stood up slowly.
"Mr. Bennett,
He said firmly.
we need to adjourn. Immediately."
And the guards walked past me, toward Adrian. Vanessa finally stepped back. Because this wasn't a romantic scandal, it was corporate fraud. But the real twist? It still wasn't over. By the time the lobby cleared, the building felt different, quieter, heavier, like the marble floors themselves were absorbing the fallout. Investors left in tight clusters, whispering. Board members disappeared into private conference rooms. Phones were out. Calls were being made. Not to Adrian, about him. News travels fast in corporate towers, faster than elevators, faster than loyalty. CEO accused of misrepresentation. Executive image fraud investigation. I didn't have to check my phone to know the headlines were forming. I could see it in the faces passing me. Shock, calculation, distance. Adrian didn't come after me. Not immediately. He was escorted upstairs, not in handcuffs, not dramatically, but firmly. Controlled damage containment. Vanessa exited through a side hallway 20 minutes later, alone. No cameras. No applause this time. And Luis, the same guard who laughed at me that morning, stood at the front desk when I walked back through the lobby. This time, he didn't smile, didn't laugh. He stepped out from behind the desk and opened the glass door for me himself. Respect looks different when the narrative shifts. Outside, the air felt sharp, clean. I finally checked my phone. 32 missed calls, dozens of messages. But one stood out, from a senior board member. We need to discuss your equity position. You are still listed as co-founder. Co-founder. Everything changed. Adrian had built his empire with me in the early days. Late nights, shared risk, shared signatures. He updated the branding. He edited the photos. But he never updated the ownership structure. And that mistake was bigger than any staged marriage. So when people ask what it feels like to be told your husband's wife is already inside, here's the truth. Sometimes the other wife isn't the replacement. She's the illusion. And the woman at the door? She's the one holding the power. But what the board proposed to me the following week would change the future of Bennett Dynamics forever.
Would you expose it publicly or handle it quietly?